Hey everyone, I'm Chef Dennis, and I'm coming back to you on Around the Kitchen Table. We had some issues with it earlier. I think I've got it figured out, so I figured while I had everything out, I'm going to go ahead and make the corn fritters, and those of you that missed it can try and watch it later. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to make some corn. There's a lot of fresh corn in the markets. Florida is really jam-packed with corn. It's corn season, and it's delicious. And you know, I thought Jersey corn was great, but Florida is really holding its own in terms of corn. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started. I have all my ingredients here. And for fritters, we're going to use corn for this, but you could of course use zucchini. You could swap out some of the vegetables. You could put chopped vegetables in them. Just got to watch how much water content is in the vegetables you use so that they don't get too soggy and don't get too messy. But anyway, to get started, we're going to make a batter. And we're going to start really simply together by getting the flours together. And let me see if I can switch over the camera so you can see what we're doing. But anyway, right now I have some flour, and I have flour mixed with salt, baking powder, and sugar. And we're going to sift. I sifted those together, and that's the dry ingredients. And then the other ingredients are going to be, and of course, my butter hardened up a little bit. It was melted, but the butter is going to be mixed in, and I'm going to mix this in a little bit more since it got a little warm on me. But anyway, we're going to mix this together, and I'm going to get a whip to do this. That's why butter did congeal a little bit. And we have some egg. So I'm going to put all that together, and then let me get a whip. Works a lot better when the butter is melted. So it should still be fine. You just got to break it up and get it all mixed in there. So you can see a little bit more what we're doing. There we go. All right, so still got a little bit of bits of butter, but you know, they'll kind of mix together a little bit more when you get everything in there. All right, so once we got the milk, the butter, and the eggs all in there, we're going to start adding in some of the other ingredients. And we're going to put in some fresh corn. All right, and that's about 2 ears of corn. I'm trying to see how it shows up in here. And we'll put it all in there. Okay, 2 ears of corn. All right, and then we had some spring onions, which are scallions. And we're going to put some scallions in here. All right, and then I'm going to add in, for some color, I'm going to add in some red pepper. So we like color in the foods that we make. And we're going to mix this up, and I'm going to stay with a little bit of a southwestern theme, so I'm putting in some cilantro. Now you could use basil in this, you could do some mint in this, and you could kind of flavor it whichever way you want to go. Now at this point I'm going to get rid of the whip, and I'm going to go over to a spoon. Get this all mixed in. All right, and then we're going to fold in the flour, the mixture. And just try and get it in, mixed in enough. I'm going to withhold just a little bit of the flour. Okay, while I'm doing this, I'm going to start heating up my pan too. Okay, so this is really, as you can see, you're almost making something you might bake. And you know, you could very well bake these too. Just want to try and get all that liquid incorporated. And these are jam-packed with vegetables. Okay, you could cut down the amount of vegetables a little bit in it if you wanted to. More flour in here. And I'm very simply going to drop these into the hot frying pan with the spoon. This is almost, think about making a pancake and then adding in things into your pancake, because that's basically what we're doing. And you'll know right away. And as this sits, this is going to get a little thicker too. Let's put in a little bit of salt. We didn't do that. A little bit of pepper. Season it up. Okay, so we're good to go. So now as soon as this grease, the oil gets hot in the frying pan, we will cook some up. Move this over here so you get a good shot of the pan. And it's important to let the oil get nice and hot to really get a good reaction when you drop the fritter in there. All right, now there was a little bit of sugar in the mixture, and that'll help give it a little bit more sweetness in comparison to some of the vegetables, because you want it to be palatable. But if the sugar's a problem for you, you can leave it out. And like I said, it's really simple to change the ingredients out a bit. Just be careful that you don't make it overly wet. I was thinking of adding some tomatoes in, but tomatoes might just have a little bit too much moisture in them. Zucchini's got a lot of moisture, but as it cooks with the egg, you should be all right. This is getting there. You can always test a piece, see what it does. And that's close, but not quite. And I got to have just about 1/4 of an inch of oil in the pan, which will allow us to saute it pretty well on one side and turn it over. All right, looks like it's about ready. So I'm going to take a spoonful and just kind of ease it in there. And these will freeze pretty well, so if this is too much for your family, make them and pop them in the freezer. There's no set shape for those. Got a little bit of corn on my mouse here. All right, and it's important when you're cooking something like this to give it an opportunity, just like you would pancakes. I know the urge is always to turn it over right away, but you want to let it get some color, and you can always kind of peek under it if you really want to. And that looks like a pretty good color right there. Yeah. Oh, those are going to be nice. All right, it's always good if you're going to take something out, let it drain on a little bit of paper towel. Turn this over. Oh, beautiful. Nice color there. You can see all the vegetable color coming through. And let's say, you just want to get these. That one could have gone a little bit longer. So you see how that one is just a little bit too light in here. We'll flip it back over. But what you can do with these is you can get them pretty much done and then finish them in the oven. All right, so let me take these out. So let's say you're having a nice party and you want to make these up and entertain ahead of time. Well, you have plenty of time to make these. Let's drop a few more in while we're doing this. Show you how easy it is to make these. And you want to give the pan a little bit of time to recover in between so the oil stays hot, because what tends to make things greasy is when the oil starts to cool down, or if you overcrowd the pan, if you're putting too much into it. Allow that other piece to get almost done. Get more in here. And as you can see, this recipe is probably going to make about 12. These are, and you can make them smaller if you wanted to do hors d'oeuvres. Say you want to make these like really bite size. These are side dish size. But if you want to make these bite size, it's simple just to use a teaspoon. Use a smaller amount in there. And again, like I said, these would bake. So if you want to bake these in muffin tins and mini muffin tins, that's another way you could go as well. And you can see how fast these go. Really easy to make. They're got a lot of vegetable in it. We really only had enough batter in here just to kind of hold everything together. And yeah, you could try putting a little cheese in there if you want. Maybe some Romano cheese or a little bit of sharp cheese, maybe some feta. These are very adaptable. You want to think with most of the vegetables, though, you want to try and get some raw in there, but if it's a harder vegetable like a carrot, or let's say even green beans, you might want to cook them a little bit first, because the fritter is really not getting a lot of time in the pan, as you can see. It's really just cooking. So that one needs more time on that side, so let's turn that back over. All right. So that is pretty much it for the fritters. I have a few more here, but I'll cook those later. I'm going to let these two finish, and then we're going to move on to a really simple salsa. And this is the time of year for salsas and corn. We had made one not too long ago, and I had said that corn makes a very good salsa, one of my favorites. This one's about done. And again, if you let these sit and then you give them some time in a 350-degree oven before you serve them, before your dinner, that'll make them come out really nice. Put them on a little cookie sheet. Just get a little color. And these are basically done, but I am going to give them a little time in the oven to finish. Let's turn this off. Let's show you what we have here. There we go. And like I said, I do have these sitting on a piece of paper towel just to let them drain a little bit. Okay, so that's a very simple recipe, and I will post it on my blog with everything. All right, and that is really your corn fritter with fresh corn. Take some little pieces. Spring onion. Oh, this corn is so sweet. Some roasted red pepper and a little bit of cilantro for color and for flavor. So it's pretty because, you know, we do eat with our eyes, so we want things to be visually pleasing. All right, so let me move this back over. And then what we're going to make real fast is a little bit of salsa. Another bowl right here. This will work great. It's a glass bowl. You can see through it. Okay. So what we're going to make now, another spoon. Sorry, it's a little hectic today, but I got thrown off my game a little bit. All right, so let's make this now, and let me switch cameras again. So it's very simple. I got some organic black beans, and with the organic black beans, I rinsed them first because I don't want any of that other goo and stuff that was on them as they sit in the can. All right, so they're off of it. Okay, now I have some corn I actually roasted in the oven. I didn't go out and grill it, but grilled corn is really good too. And that goes in here. That's an ear of corn. I actually made two. I had one for lunch. I'm just going to mix this around a little bit. All right. Now we're going to throw in some cilantro. I give it a little bit of salt. A little bit of black pepper. And then this is the very easy way that I use to make a really tasty corn and black bean salsa, is that I take my favorite prepared salsa that we buy, you know, and this is great to have if you're making other things in the house, and I just add this into it. Now, granted, you could use fresh tomatoes. You could add in a little bit more onion if you want to. But this is all you really need to have a really tasty dip, a really easy to make dip. And, you know, again, if you want a little more tomato in there, you can add it in. And this is something you want to let sit for a little while too, because the flavors are going to marry a little bit and they're going to all kind of come together. And then you put out your corn chips. And I actually bought a bag of organic corn chips for this. Let's taste it. Oh, yeah. Very nice. That's very good. And you get a little bit of, depending on how hot you want it, you can buy a mild salsa, a hot salsa, or you can jazz it up a little bit with a little bit of hot sauce. You got fresh corn, roasted flavor, cilantro. This is wonderful. So easy to use fresh corn. So easy to find ways to get it into your family's diet. You got people that only want salsa and chips. Well, black beans, very good for them. Fresh corn, good for them. Okay, now you got a healthy dip rather than always loading them down with something that's not good for them. The fritters kind of look pretty cool. And I'm telling you, once your family tries them, you may have a convert and another way to get more fresh vegetables into them. So this is Chef Dennis. Thank you for sticking back with me or coming back with me on Around the Kitchen Table as I got through some of my technical difficulties. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.